This is Mainstream Metaphysics with your host, Nick Newmont.
Well, hey there, it's Tuesday night in Los Angeles. Welcome to Mainstream Metaphysics. We are back after an extended break. High school softball interruptus is the case. and it's fun to be back here in the studios of Conejo Valley Talk Radio on the Newmont Consciousness Network. What a mouthful that is. Joining me tonight, someone new, someone special, Gina Ann.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure and honor to have you. Oh my God, we have been talking before the show. Spirits are flying, energy is flying.
That's right.
Ed, hold things down back there because things are gonna levitate. Trust me on this one.
We would have great bloopers.
Right, we would. We would. It's really cool to be back, and in fact, next week, my guest is Inanna Draper, who's been on before, psychic and medium, and she's been on Audrey's show, done events at the Newmont Center, which you've got to do events at the Newmont Center.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And then in 2 weeks, my guest is Cara Ciaglia. You like that? Nice Italian name.
Italian.
Yep. And we have been using the Rasha machine, which it's scalar wave energy. It is fabulous. I've done it 3 times. What a difference it makes. And we're going to have it set up here in the studio here in Westlake. So anyway, tomorrow night, Audrey's guest on Conscious Mind Tripping is Sandra Bloom, who is a past life specialist. So tune in tomorrow night, I believe at 6 o'clock on Audrey's page, which is Conscious Mind Tripping, and look at Audrey and Sandra Bloom. And for those of you who are the spiritual medium enthusiasts, remember in June 22nd, our friend Alexandra will be coming up from Mexico, channels Golden Arrow, and I will be channeling Merlin. And, get your tickets early for that event because that will be a full house. And I believe in June 15th, I try to memorize this, our dear friend Gary Stewart, who does the constellation workshops, and that form of healing will be at the Newmont Center too. And a lot of classes will be coming up through the spring and summer. So anyway, lots of good stuff at our center. Well, first of all, it's a full moon.
Yes, it is.
It is a full moon.
It's a wild, wild moon.
It is a Scorpio full moon. It's very intense. And as we're still in Mercury retrograde in Aries with this full moon, right. Oh my God. People have been out of control.
That's right.
In this Mercury retrograde in Aries, saying things, assumptions, presumptions.
Judgments, arguments, road rage, accidents.
Right.
Everything that could happen has happened.
Yes. It is one of the most brutal Mercury retrogrades I've ever witnessed. I mean, we all know that don't sign contracts and all the astrological paranoia that goes with Mercury retrograde, what you should do and don't do. We've been talking about that for years.
And I love Mercury retrograde because I feel, yes, but if somebody's going to sign over $10 million, I'm just going to be aware and read it very carefully, but
Right.
I'm going to sign it.
Right. Yes.
So
definitely.
I think retrograde is just a time to slow down and be aware.
One thing to be aware of too, and I haven't looked at your chart, is that some of us are born in Mercury retrograde. So I'm able to do things that I tell a lot of people not to do in Mercury retrograde. Like a few weeks ago, the leases were up on Audrey's and mine car. We bought 2 cars in one day in Mercury retrograde.
Well, it's worked. They're still running.
Yes. And they were serviced today anyway. So welcome.
Thank you.
You and I have had some fun conversations over the phone and before the show started. And you're really tuned in and tapped in to all kinds of stuff. But let the viewing audience get to know you a little bit. Who are you? And
who am I?
Yes.
Well, my name is Gina. I go by Gigi. My greatest and best and most blessed creation are my children, Christopher and Megan.
Nice.
Yes, they are my inspiration for everything. They are my inhale and exhale. Other than that, I've done many things. I've worked the court system. I've cleaned toilets. I was a special education teacher for over 18 years in Palos Verdes, and that was from preschool to high school, ranging in, sexual assault, addiction, autism. Everyone is special. Every child is special. And that morphed into me going back to school and getting a master's in spiritual psychology, tapping, EMDR, all those fun neuroscience, because when science procreates with the woo-woo, that's where the magic is.
Right.
And I grew up in Texas with an alligator, Charlie. So with 3 brothers, I'm Italian, I'm Sicilian, and Norwegian. So
I'm Italian,
yes,
Sicilian.
that's it. That was one of our first things, And I believe in the inner child. So because I've worked with children so long, I write children's books. I have a series going on with JoJo. She's a fairy angel.
I saw your website.
Thank you.
Yes.
And she has a magical red stone, which is carnelian, that beats like her heart. I love acting. Oh, that's my playground. That's my creative expression. People always ask me, I'm a psychic medium, so I can see, feel, hear. I'm Italian, so I taste. And with your permission, if someone comes in, I would... I will let you know. Like I said, I had a download of you yesterday, and all I kept seeing was you were and had crystals that no one has ever seen before. And
that's the sentient plasma quartz.
Wow.
That you were sensing.
Yeah, because I felt the buzz last night. I woke up at like 3:17, and I was like, whew. And that's what I felt. Cool. When I walked in and sat down, I felt your mom right away.
Right.
So I can see the dynamic in which you fell from in utero, and what role in your mom was the biggest influence in your life. I could just feel it's like...
Right, yeah. And she was a bigger influence.
And she's here. I feel very, like I said, emotional about her because she's very strong but very gentle. She was really what I call the Rock of Gibraltar. I don't know how, I've never said that before, but that's who she embodies, and that's what she's telling me. And even in utero, it was very content. Even though things were happening around her, she really protected you inside.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's okay. She's telling me.
Right.
She's telling me. Really, like I said, very, very strong but gentle. Did she wear something on her left hand? Left wrist or anything? There's something left.
There was a certain... In her later years, a certain bracelet.
There we
that she
go.
wore
She's
a lot.
showing me that.
Yeah.
So she's letting you know she's here.
Yeah, I get it.
She's
Thanks.
here.
Hi, Mom.
So, yeah. So she hangs out around you. She likes being here, though, actually, in the studio.
Well, there's a funny thing to that, and I'll tell
Okay.
this story as fast as I can. So when I was a little kid, I was a bit of a chatterbox. And my mom said to me, someday I hope you go on television. And it's like, well, and she goes, because that's the only way I'm ever going to turn you off. Okay.
There we go. That's good.
So, and some of those folks know this, some don't. So in the early 90s, I was on the soap opera Santa Barbara.
Oh,
I had a recurring role on there. And when that started, I asked my mom, this was like 1992, did you watch the show? And she goes, yeah. And I said, well, that makes you a liar. And she goes, what do you mean? I said, you had the opportunity to turn off and you didn't.
I bet she turned the volume up. Yeah, see, there she goes. And she's laughing. She has a really good sense of humor.
She does.
Very, very.
She
So
loves to
she's
laugh.
laughing, yes.
Yep.
So we have a lot in common that we didn't know about, which is lovely. I love that this is really a conversation in improv because even though we spoke before, I really didn't know anything and I didn't want to know anything about you. I wanted
this is not
the
rehearsed.
first time meeting to just really bring out both of our gifts. And you've had them since you were really small. I saw you and, you were very much aware and can see spirits coming in. And again, I feel even when you're young, maybe you didn't have the verbiage like I didn't of being a psychic, but you're very sensitive. And I kept seeing you like with the earth and rocks.
Right.
And so
I'm going to say to the audience there, I want to confirm something. See, Gina knows what she's talking about. So when my mom was going to give birth to my sister, my only sister, and I wasn't quite 5 years old yet. Now, my mom was going to go to the hospital because she had to deliver. And my grandparents' restaurant was across a parking lot right there. And my mom said that I got myself dressed, which I'd never done before, put myself all together and said, I'm going over to grandma's. And my mom said, nothing was talked about. She said, you just had to know. And that was my mother's indication of my precognitive abilities when I was like 4 years and 9 months old.
Yeah. And from 4 to 8, you just expanded. See, in my family, it was, you're too sensitive. You know, I grew up with 3 brothers, so too sensitive, but I could feel, and I felt everyone. I could feel the pain. I could feel everyone. I could feel, even when I was talking to the alligator down by the pond, you know, the alligator was like 7 feet away, and Charlie and I would talk. And Charlie's in one of my books.
That's cool. That's really cool.
And it's where I would write in poetry, and that's how I express what I know now as my knowingness, as my sentient. Because I can see, feel, hear. The hearing is, I'll say, the last tool. For me, that's your first tool.
Yes, and clairaudience was my first.
Because as soon as I got my ears popping with you.
Right.
So, again, we don't know anything about each other, but we're learning it now. This is really fun.
Oh, it is fun. This is, you know, being in the Aquarian age. We've stepped through the door. We're in the Aquarian age now. It's a really fascinating time to be on the planet. You know, when you read about all this stuff, you know, the past Piscean age, the Aries age, it's things that you would read about, but we're living it right now.
Right.
And that's why things are so topsy-turvy in the world right now.
Chaotic. We're trying to clean it out to create heaven on earth. That's my download or feed or feeling of it. And, you know, there's a lot going around in now of, I just want to touch upon about, you know, a lot going around with spiritual imposters. And I think we all have to be careful of spiritual imposters. You know, they're not integrity. And I feel this is what we have.
Right.
Is this integrative people? This is what we did discuss is, you know, when we tell people, you know what, I think you should see another avenue just to get a different feel when we see this codependency and enabling going on. And that's integrity. But there are a lot of people out there, I'm going to charge you $5,000 to align your chakras. No.
Right. Or the stuff that's been going on for a lot of times with the psychics that we would call storefront gypsies and would say things like someone put a curse on you.
Yes.
And for $5,000, I'm going
I'll remove the curse. Oh,
it's like,
exactly.
Oh my God.
No, exactly. Exactly. So I think that's really, really important to mention, especially in this time now when things are going, you know, spiritual psychosis and don't believe astrologers. No, we do have true gifts. We can't allow, you know, the media and this bombardment of negativity to see the positive and the good.
Right. And there is a lot of dark energy out there that doesn't want truth coming. And when we talk about truth, it's not just about us telling people what they need to hear and what they, you know, need to know. It's the bigger picture of the world right now of getting truth out there, because there is a great suppression coming with the dark energy that puts the blinders on people. And people are really having the wool pulled over their eyes right now.
That's right.
And they don't know it. And, you know, when back on the 20th, last Saturday, when Jupiter and Uranus aligned, was the beginning of this sort of evolution process that's going to grow.
Yes.
Now, I'm not going to get into it tonight, but next year, in a year, there's a Neptune-Saturn alignment, which does not happen very often.
Right.
And that's going to cause empires to tumble. That one is going to be even bigger because it's going to Neptune-Saturn. Illusion and disillusion, Saturn reality, like it or not.
A lot of financial. See, my left hand is financial. It's female. It's mother energy. So yeah, when you said that's a lot of financial.
Yeah, so that's what's coming. But for everybody, the Jupiter-Uranus alignment is we're still feeling it. And you know, a few weeks ago when I just did the show from my office, my whole show was astrology and how that's going to affect people. And there is a really good financial liberation that's in motion already. We just haven't realized it yet, but it's a big shift of banking and all that. Enough about that.
No,
how do you feel about all the global stuff? What are you seeing?
Well, I agree that the financial institutions are going to shift and change. I feel, and I was in education over 20 years. And I feel now we should lean our children into more trades and more entrepreneurship and more creativity. We've got to get them back in the imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And our children is where we start. However, we don't leave all of us out. We still have the inner child. We still have things to do. You still have things to do. And science is behind play. And if we don't have play, that really shifts the neurons in our brains, our feelings, and we have to put the play back into our world. I really believe that. And that sounds very flippant and simple, but it's the most joy. That's why I love children. They'll go jump in a puddle. They don't care about anything except when someone says, "Oh, you dirtied your shoes." Right?
That was me at 4 years old, by the way.
Oh,
I'm
psychic.
That. You are psychic.
Psychic.
I actually did that. Oh
I'm
my
psychic.
God.
So, if we can do that, this is what I see globally. We are all very intense. And as a mom, the worry never stops. And so we're in this state of fear. How do we move past the fear?
Well, one, we have to get into truth and not be afraid of the truth.
That's right.
And the truth, there's a big reveal that we're right on the doorstep of it. And people like you and me and a lot of my constituents, they're waiting for it. They want it.
Yes.
I'm concerned about the people that have been kind of kept in the dark and how a lot of the general population is going to react to some of this stuff that's going to come out. And it is going to come out.
Well, a lot of anger, a lot of repression. We have now, there's these overused words, spirituality, empath, ADHD, anxiety, depression. Are those things? Yes. They're just an injury. It's not an illness. And we really have to, I think, we have a responsibility, because we've been given these gifts, to help others and to be in service to others. That doesn't mean not putting value on our gifts.
Right. We're entitled to, make a living doing what we do.
Yes. And I feel so blessed. I feel so blessed to be in this position. And I wouldn't say I was pushing it because I've always had it, but because of circumstances and this awakening I had because of a lot of trauma that happened, God, universe, spirit, whatever you believe in, directed me into this path. So I'm embracing it, even though I've always had it. I mean, I could communicate with children of all ages if they were nonverbal. We just heard each other.
Right.
Heard each other. So going back to the original question that a lot of people ask, when did you know? I don't think I knew, but I knew. I just didn't have the verbiage for it.
Right.
But now I'm embracing it. Before it was like, oh, psychic. It's like, fortune teller.
Right. Well, you're, being a psychic medium, and I am too, sometimes people like media. Like I do astrology, numerology. I can do cards, palmistry. Yes. But when you're really psychic and a medium, and I don't think people understand that because they look for evidence. You don't need anything.
Thank you for saying that.
Just speak it and it comes through.
It comes truth. It's like, I agree. I love all those modalities and the visual stimulation because as a teacher, I had to learn with children, how they best learned.
Right.
And so a lot of my students, what I would do, I'll tell you, the lights in schools, the fluorescents, are very dangerous for kids. I would always turn the lights off and their test scores went up. Or I'd take them outside. Oh, there was nothing better than that. One of the questions I asked, whether it was preschool to high school, and even I've been down to Skid Row and I've read my books and I've read, some of the people there in Children's Hospital in St. Jude is, what is the grass saying to you? Just that one question with everyone. It's amazing. You can find out so much.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
I feel we have a responsibility, you and I. And
we
everyone
do, a big
out there.
one.
And we're all intuitive. I think we're all born with that. I think we're all born with all the answers, and then life and free will and free choice and life experiences, cloud the way. And we have that opportunity to either, it's like either be the bully, become the bully, or be the advocate.
Right. This is probably, I'm going to ask you a question. It's probably a question better suited for Audrey's show and her style, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So you as an educator, how do we get kids in school to do more critical thinking as opposed to memorizing?
Oh, see, that's where I feel the foundation of our education is completely upside down. School was to memorize. memorization, I can memorize and then I'd forget it as soon as I took the test. It's by tapping into our intuition and our imagination, which creates innovation. It's those three things, the three I's. So when you have three I's, it's we.
Right. Yeah, it's true. It's
right?
true.
So I think that's really important. You start them young. And socialization, you can have all the degrees. But if you don't know how to communicate, communication is the key for any kind of relationship.
No doubt.
And it's conscious
doubt.
communication. It's allowing the other one to be heard and valued and seen. And as children, some of us are not.
Right. You know, Audrey talks all the time in her materials in the book she's writing. She talks all the time about unconscious behavior versus conscious behavior. Unconscious being habits and things that we do automatically.
Right.
You know,
and being a spiritualist, I interrupt you, I'm sorry,
That's all right.
is it doesn't mean that it has to be all like, or
Right.
It's real life. You're a real
Right.
person with real feelings. I mean, again, I feel your gifts right away. It's really hard for me to sit here and it's like I want to keep reading you because I can see your time. I can see you between like 11 and 16 or 17. There was something that occurred between those years that developed within you of kind of like, not that I don't fit in, and a lot of kids do feel that. It's like, I know I'm different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I've always been different, you know,
Me too.
and as I've gone through my life, I've been told that I'm an acquired taste, you know. I heard a little snicker back there. All that stuff comes through, you know, and I don't fit the mold. In fact, my mom told me way back when I was 20 whatever, she said, when they made you, they broke the mold.
That's right.
So it's funny. I mean,
right.
it's coming from
No, but that's
Mom.
beautiful because she has the gifts too. That's where the DNA, that's where all the
That's
spiritual
exactly
gifts,
right.
Because she's saying it, she goes, who do you think you got it from? And she's using her, she says, who do you think you got it from?
And that's right, because my mom told me that in her side of the family, all the women, they would have very telling dreams, but it scared them. So they shut it off. And when I moved to California, I'm the one that brought it forward.
That's right. You broke the chain.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
sprinkled the fairy dust around. So,
Right.
well, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yes.
Where or who did you go to for comfort as a child?
Her.
There we go.
Yeah, of course. It was her, not my dad.
Yes.
My dad was there all
That's
the
why
time.
I said
but
it's not that he wasn't important. It's just your mom
Right.
is the main. And so when I asked that, I felt you were going to say her, and she's right here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So when my mom passed a couple of years ago and was staying at my sister's house and we're sitting there with my sister's boyfriend and another friend, all of a sudden a lamp on a table next to the chair where my mom would sit, it just went like that. It's like, yep, there she is.
There she is.
And then later when, you know, my sister's boyfriend and my other friend left, we're sitting there just talking in her living room. All of a sudden it sounded like a spoon fell in the sink. We couldn't find anything.
Wow.
But we sure heard it.
And you know.
Yeah, of course.
You
Of
know.
course.
So, what do
Yeah.
you enjoy more? Because you are also multifaceted. You know, what is it that you enjoy the most in your gifts?
You know, it's hard to say that because I am so diverse, and given that in numerology I'm a 50 personality, I do my best to avoid boredom. So because I do readings, I do healing energy work, and I do hypnotherapy. I'm also a ghostbuster. I go out and cleanse and bless properties. I do exorcisms.
Yes.
You know, so I do all these things. So it just kind of rotates around. You know,
Wonderful.
so
We have very, very parallels. That's what I do. I could remote healing. It's amazing. Like, see, I didn't know that about him, so it's really wonderful to hear. I knew we were connected even the first time we spoke. It was like boom. You could feel it in all the places. Right. It's like
Yes.
we had a past life.
right, it's
Definitely.
there. I don't know what it is, but it's there.
Yeah, I can just feel it. And so we do the same thing. And you have to be stimulated that because that's your creative imagination.
Right.
You can't just do one thing.
Oh,
No.
God, no.
No.
And then of course at the center we teach tons of classes, beginner level things, advanced level, There are a lot of people that have come through our institution that are very proficient healers, going through our course of study. So, and that's really cool, by the way, to see people have gone through that extensive program and are out there doing the work.
Well, your healing center, I definitely picked that up. It is a sacred place in the sense I'll say not even more than sacred, it's safe. It's a safe place where, as when we were young, we didn't have that safe place to, what is going on within me? What am I seeing? Or what am I dreaming? Or, you kind of feel like you're crazy when you're younger, or just different, or, highly sensitive. And so you're going to do a lot more. I just feel and sense that you're going to go global.
That's the intention. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's the intention.
It's what I feel. Like I said, this is how I read and how I do energy work, and then it's up to you to, if I said to a female, yeah, I see a baby, but you don't have to get pregnant if you don't want to.
Yes.
I'm just delivering the message,
Right.
and then you take it from there. And your hands are very healing. I don't know if you ever did Reiki, but your hands are like sensors like mine, because mine are really warm.
Right.
And so when I'm just there we go.
Yeah.
See me too. So I can just scan your body.
Right. And that's what I do
and you
too.
can do it too.
Yes.
So.
Yep. Yeah, when people get on the table for the healing, I just run my hand through, and we've had funny things when I've gone through there. Like I can tell what people have eaten.
What did I eat today before I got here?
I don't know yet. I haven't scanned you.
I'm Italian, guess.
Yes, it's got to be some kind of pasta or something.
You're exactly. You're psychic.
I'm also Italian.
Exactly. I did.
funny.
I had to have my pasta. So, and what's your sign?
Libra.
Libra. Okay.
What's yours?
Leo.
Oh, that's good. I have. I've got to do your chart. Get me your information.
I will.
So I do your chart. So what's your rising sign?
Sagittarius.
Okay.
And Taurus moon.
Taurus moon. Oh, I call that sweet but stubborn.
Yes.
The Taurus moon.
Yes.
I get along very well with Leos. I have 3 planets in Leo.
See.
Even though I'm a Libra.
Yeah, but we get along. We're supposed to be a dynamic couple and friends, and because we see things in the bigger picture.
Well, and you being Leo, your hair.
Yeah.
Okay, the mane.
I was going to do this just to give you a hint.
I have a daughter that's a Leo, and her hair is very important to her.
Yes, it is. It's who it allows us to hide and shine.
And you said you're Sag rising.
Yes.
See, that's where that makes you a great orator and a philosopher and a teacher.
Thank you.
But it also gives you at times a very, it's not addictive, that is not the right word, but consumptive kind of personality. Like sometimes there's just not enough.
Right. I want more.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's more wealth, more health, more love, more kindness. It's like I want to live this life how I treat when I'm with myself, and that's why I do give. When you give a healing, you receive a healing. So I like to what I call recycle the negative into positive.
Right.
I don't like to stay in the negative. It just doesn't serve.
Well, it doesn't. You're transformative. Also, with you as a Sag rising, you're going to portray a lot of positive energy and optimism. That's what Sagittarius is all about.
Yeah. So double fire.
But as a Leo's one thing to know about Leos is when they establish boundaries, don't cross that line.
You're right. I'm way, and it's one of my favorite words. And boundaries aren't requests. That's it. Once the loyalty, that's it.
Right.
And I could, and it's not about revenge, because I allow karma and the universe to take care of that. I don't need. I go and try to make a change in the world. It doesn't mean I don't feel super sensitive. Like I go, instead of angry, I go sad, and then I go quiet. See, I can. Because
your Leo is ruled by the sun. When Leo is upset, then the clouds cover the sun. But Leos are the kings and queens of the zodiac. You've come in to rule. But it's a fine line for when Leo learns to serve, then they rule.
And that's what I love. I've been in service my whole life, starting with my family, who I love. I used to make my brother sandwiches. And they would throw them away and buy their lunch, and then the next day I'd poke holes in their sandwiches. But that's just for fun. That was my love touch.
Where are you in the pecking order of your siblings?
It's my brother Michael, then me, then Rocky, then Vinny. Can you get any more Italian than that?
Not at all. Love that.
Yes. So, yeah, no, I feel very blessed in the family that I was raised in. A lot of lessons. We were basically very independent on our own, but lots of love, lots of food. Didn't matter where we were in the world because, we struggled.
Sure.
Struggled, and we moved
Sure.
to light and had to adapt, but very grateful. And here we are, and it develops, you take how we were raised. And like growing up, I wasn't really like, I'd get made fun of if I cried. And so.
Right. Oh, yeah, you had to
And
be
yet,
tough.
so there's a blend. There's a blend.
When you say the word pride, a multiple lions is called a pride.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
But being Italian, too, there is a lot of pride because, not wanting to be shamed or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you a question, given, that you have all these gifts. Where did Catholicism come into play?
So I was raised Catholic. I mean, it was very loose Catholic. So I went through catechism and my First Holy Communion and, everything like that. But it was very loose. It wasn't really, we did Lent and, but I've always believed in God. I've always talked to God. I remember going and sitting with the priest and I'm like, I don't understand why I have to sit and do confession. One, I don't know what to confess. And two, why would I go to Jesus? I would just go straight to the top. So I love all the religions. I think there is something beautiful and traditional and ritualistic and family-oriented about all of them. I love Catholicism, Judaism. I mean, beautiful. I think we're all reaching the same goals. Taoism, Buddhism, whatever that may be. We're all trying to reach the same goal, to have, divinity and love and good health and
Sure.
make the best of this world that we're living in.
Well, on Earth, we're monotheistic, but we're polynomial.
Oh, great words.
Big words, huh?
I love that. I love dictionary words.
Yeah.
I'm a wordsmith. I love that. That's really a good line.
It doesn't matter what we call God, source, love,
Right.
Jesus,
Right.
Ed.
Exactly.
Whatever.
We're all that. And, that's why I love that. I love children. I love babies. And I love teaching them and playing with them. And that's why I love the inner child, because I can see Ed's inner child. As soon as I walked in, so friendly and lovely and welcoming, you know?
He is.
And I just felt him right away. He came through right away. And then I turned around and there you were. And of course I saw yours. It's like a movie screen. And I think that's why I love being an actor too. It's just so fun, and I want more of that. And I want JoJo to become an animation and go across the world. It's just to share those gifts, because yes, I might have created and written it, but it didn't really come from me.
What is your website? You have to go to her website. Tell them how to get.
So to get a hold of me, you can either call me. I'm really open. I'm
Would you
old-fashioned.
yell your name, Gina?
Yeah. My number's 310-617-6215. Again, I love those old-fashioned values. And my website is Gigi, G-I-G-I, and then 29518 at gmail.com. That's
your email.
Yes, and 29518 is my children. It's mine and my children's birthday. So.
And what's your website so they can go and see?
It's Gina Ann, GinaAnnAuthor.com.
Gina Ann, author.
For all it's I
Yeah.
go slow forever.
Definitely go to her website. It's really cool. I was looking at it today.
Oh, thank you. It's really fun, and it does look, very childlike. But that's the inner child if you read through it. And there's a little JoJo jingle that's really fun for everyone. So very, very grateful. And I love that world of fun and play. And I think we should all play. I took my friend one time and she said, oh my gosh, we can't go to a park. I'm like, why? Why can't you swing? Who says? Where is the book or the rule or the law? Yucky rules. I mean, we do have to have rules, but who says we can't go to a park? Who says you can't jump in the mud puddle? Who said? And we had the best time.
Right.
The best time.
Yeah, we do. The world is serious enough, but it's really important that we let our hair down and have a good time and frolic and all that kind of stuff. I mean, for me, all these years of coaching girls softball, 16 years now, last 8 at the high school level, being around, youth is good for us. Okay.
Absolutely.
Because even though we're not interacting at their brain level, it's still what they say and the innocence, everything that goes on. And they're funny. They're not trying to be funny, but they're funny. And
That's
it's
right.
like
and they're honest.
Brutally
They're
honest.
honest, which I respect. And everyone has all these, like I said, gifts, and therapy is such a funny word. And it's such an overused word.
Mm-hmm.
For me, therapy is just learning what makes you feel good and not in hurting anyone or hurting yourself. Dancing, singing, drawing, silence, stillness, playing cards. It's whatever makes you feel good. That's therapy.
Right.
It's the connection.
Exactly.
Right now we're having fun. We're sitting here talking. We're on TV. Ed is there. Whoever is watching, we're all together.
Right.
We're supposed to be together in this moment.
And this show, gets shared and people see it like days and weeks down the road. So we have no idea in this moment how many people we're affecting by doing this. So where do you see things? Like people love to know this stuff. They ask this stuff. Where is this country headed? What do you see? Because for me, by the way, I'm very careful that I don't portray any kind of, let's call it political bias or anything like that. It's simply what I see,
What I see with everything that's occurring with our children and our young adults, and, every generation goes through wanting a cause.
Right.
Right? I feel what we're doing is like our world is being shaken like a snow globe. And then we're going to go back and we're going to recreate this new world. Oh, I got chills from head to toe. And it does make me emotional because when we are together, we really can change the world into this beauty. And it's all about the human kindness, our animals, our plants. I mean, let's go back to the basics. If we go back, I see our world going back to the basics, to the simplicities of things. I mean, yes, I love my phone. It's an umbilical cord to my children and my mom and my family and my loved ones, my friends. However, and I'm not saying the good old days where we had to walk through the snow to get to school. It means coming back to the simplicity things of breaking bread with people, connecting. Like, I love that you asked me here. Yes, it was an hour and a half to get here. Doesn't matter. It was an opportunity that I could call my mom, could call my loved one. I'm here, play music, sing in the car, pay attention to the road. And here we are connecting. It's so much better than Zoom. And I was exhausted when I got, because I've been up since 5:30. I had a modeling shoot in the Valley, then had to go back, and I was tired. But then as soon as I popped in here, it's like invigorating. And that's the energy. That's the energy you bring in here.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So, it's true.
Yeah, it's remember the original Arthur movie with Dudley Moore?
Oh,
and even though he was drunk a lot, he said, "Isn't fun the best thing to have?"
That's right.
Right?
It is. You can't create fun, but you can do what you love, and fun will follow.
Right.
Fun
Yeah,
will
exactly.
follow.
It gets contagious.
Just had a deja vu. Bless you. Just had a deja vu. Just now.
Like we had this conversation before. All right, so let's shift this conversation, because this is where it gets really interesting. Because when we're working when it comes to psychic phenomena and predictions and all that, we have to jump time a little bit.
Okay.
Because I use astrology and numerology to track more about when. Okay. But when we're just being psychic, we'll see who, what, where, how. But in the fifth dimension, there is no when, because time doesn't exist there.
I want to thank you for saying that, because that's the biggest question when is it going to happen? I'm like, I am not God, or I don't know when. If they give me that strong message, I certainly will tell you. But that's why you spoke it so much more eloquently than I did. I said, I don't come up with time unless they show me. And when they show me, who's they? Well, the
Right.
gifts. So thank you for saying that. That's really, really important. And I'm going to use that, but quote you.
You can quote me. So in all the years I've channeled Merlin, I have Merlin come through. And when people have actually asked Merlin about certain events, when they're going to happen. And Merlin, they said, because I don't know, I'm not present when Merlin is speaking through me. And, Merlin evidently said to them, when? Why do you always want to know when? In fact, this is good for everybody that's watching. But Merlin said, when we ask when, okay, it's taking our focus and attention off of it. He said, when you ask when, it actually puts you into doubt. And he said that you want to focus on what? If there's something that you need to create or want to create, you intend on creating, keep your focus on that you're creating it, because when you ask when, you're affirming that it's not happening.
Bingo. It's like saying I want. If you keep saying I want, the universe doesn't keep you in the want mode.
Yeah, it becomes a treadmill.
Exactly. It's like that the hamster on the wheel. So we have to change it. And I that's when people say when, it's like then you're going to focus on it. When it doesn't happen, you're going to set yourself up for disappointment because you're going to have that expectation. Let's focus on what's happening right now. Yes, I can see the timelines. We could jump the timelines.
Sure we can.
And when I channel, a lot of people will text me and say, remember when you said this? I'm like, I don't remember, because I clear everything anyway. And if you came back an hour later, I would remember you, but I wouldn't remember what I channeled. And so I'm not going to remember in a week or,
And you're not supposed to retain all that.
No, it's clear.
You have your own mind.
Right. So, and when I'm channeling, someone that comes through or just, what people want, when I'm reading them, it goes. I can't remember. That's why I say you can record or you can write notes, because I will not remember what I said.
Exactly.
And it's different from, I call it psychic therapy when I'm giving, because obviously I have all the science and the tapping and the EMDR, but because people do want tools, and I'm big into action steps. And, one of the things is we're all in fear, and it's about being courageous. Courageous is not having the fear. It's just taking the action. Courageous people just take the action of the next step. And I know when it's the affairs of the heart, that's the toughest, because we're that emotion. Those are the toughest moments, when something is happening with someone we love.
Right. It is. Or when a person is not in a relationship and they want to know when they're going to.
Someone's going to.
It's like,
yes, that's a common question too. That's one of the most common ones.
A lot of times, it sounds so trite, but a lot of times we have to ask people, are you in love with yourself? Do you love yourself?
And what does that mean? See?
Right. Exactly.
A lot of people don't know what that means.
Right. Yeah, they're not in touch with in here. When you said a couple minutes ago about a déjà vu, okay? There's a lot of things that I feel about the reality of déjà vus, but I'd rather hear from you. Do you feel that we do parallel, ourselves? How do you explain these synchronicities that are realizations that we say, I've done this before? Because there's a lot of theories about actual time travel right now.
My feelings are it, and I go with the feelings, because when I saw the déjà vu, it's almost like everything else disappeared. I didn't see cameras. I didn't feel anything around me. And it was just you and I, and it's like the world got quiet. So I feel we've had a similar conversation before.
Right.
So it confirms that we've had a past life.
Right. Okay.
That's what I feel. We've had some sort of, and look, in Catholicism, resurrection.
Right.
So this is where, believe or know what you want to know and believe in it. There's no judgment. That's the one thing I think my clients come back is there's no judgment. As long as you're not hurting yourself or hurting someone else, there's not even judgment then. It's just like, let's try to process it through.
Right.
So again, when we had that just a few minutes ago, it was literally just you and I, no one else. I heard nothing else. And it was a good feeling. And what I get is, okay, when we had that, was it a good I'm like, oh yeah, it was a good feeling. And the belly button has millions of neurons, even more in the brain. I always go to the umbilical cord. This is, and I think, this is so misunderstood, the belly button. It's such a wonderful place. It's our first source of life, first source of food, first source source.
Right.
And so when a lot of people are in pain, when I channel, I really go there first. And then
And the navel is where the sacral chakra is.
Yes.
Where spirit, the two highest forms of energy that we have are spiritual and sexual, but they're wrapped around each other in the second chakra. So we have to learn how to work with that.
Yes. Yes. And that's usually where it starts, and I can usually sense, I can sense when someone's going to have a baby or if they are pregnant. So I love that. I think just because I was born to be a mom, I love being a mom, however that looks and feels.
Good for you. That's because so many times people are going through their own stuff, so to speak, and you can tell that how because of what's going on, they've disconnected from their kids, which is kind of a sad thing.
Yeah, I enjoy every moment. Even my son is 28, my daughter's 26, and there's not a day that I don't worry. I do have mother fear and worry, and that's a different entity for me. Being a parent, whether it's to your children or who you take care of, it doesn't mean you have to birth them. It could be animals, it could be other people. I mean, they say, oh gosh, when they're 18. No, I never had that. In fact, when they were little, it was easier when I could see them and watch them and play with them. But I feel very blessed that they still want to come over and they still want to play, and the worry never ends until my last breath. And then still I'm going to check on, like your mom is checking on you.
Exactly.
So, and it doesn't make me a good, bad mom. It's just how I just feel grateful. Everything else that has happened in my life and is just the frosting of the cake.
Well, and you say they still want to come over and play with you. That means you've done a good job as a mom.
Well, I cook. I'm sorry, the cookie might come to that's kind of a lure. No.
But if they're coming for food, that means you cook with love.
I do.
Because you could make something, and I have this same exact recipe. You're in a good mood, I'm in a bad mood. Yours is going to taste better. Oh,
well, isn't that funny? Yes, the energy we put in our food and the blessings that we put.
Right.
And no, it's one of my favorite things to do. And I think I had a past life where either I was, hungry, because I see how I stutter. I can't stand when someone's hungry. So even in school, I would tell them, no child goes without food. You put it on this credit card. I can't. So when I cook for someone, that's I always say love language is doing things. Let me cook for you. Come over. Let me take care of you.
With all the money that's in the world, there's no reason for anybody on the planet to go hungry.
I agree.
There is just no reason for that.
Can you imagine if the streets were lined with like fruit trees and things like that instead of light posts? Be great.
Right. Or 5G towers.
Exactly. Exactly. Wouldn't that be lovely? And we all shared food. That's one of the things I love being raised in Texas, or at the time period I lived on 60 acres. And, when someone needed something, come over.
Right.
It's not the typical sugar, but if you needed sugar, here's sugar.
Right. Exactly. There's enough to go around. And the funny thing is, if people could realize that when they give, when they're moving it out this way, something else is coming in.
Right.
When we hold back, it stifles the flow. Mm-hmm. It's the movement of money. It's called circulation.
Right. And money is an energy. And yes, I mean, we need it to live as human beings.
Right.
I mean, we are souls having human experiences I call this Earth School.
Mm-hmm.
This is Earth School, and we're here to graduate our souls and elevate them. And it's funny when you said food, there's enough to go around. So during COVID, toilet paper would have been the last thing for me to think that would wipe out. No pun intended.
Right. Right. It's funny that
I thought that was
people
ironic
panicked
about toilet paper.
Right.
Okay.
Whatever.
Okay.
I know, right?
Nothing else to say, but it brought that up, that there's plenty to go around. Yeah.
It's amazing when fear becomes pervasive, where people's minds go in their fight-flight mechanism. Mm-hmm. And they go into lack. That's a lack consciousness when people have to do that, to hoard like that.
Oh, right.
It's not an abundance consciousness. Mm-hmm. So when you were, I want to go back, and we're jumping around a little bit.
I like it. I like jumping back and forth.
With all the gifts that you have, Did you go through any formal studies to enhance your abilities?
I think everything that I've gone through from birth till now were my studies.
Okay.
Did I have formal studies in being a psychic? No.
Mm.
I feel because of the stages of my life, like I said, I worked for the court. I came to from Texas to California. I was 18, $500 in my pocket. I got a job at the courthouse, so that was quite an education in
Wow.
humanity, lack thereof, and inhumanity. And then from there, getting married and still working, became a teacher so I could have the same
Right.
schedule as my children, and then divorce and death, and financially, bankrupt, having to rebuild. The legacy I leave my children and my loved ones isn't JoJo, and which is great, and it's seeing or having my children see me go through those and being human, and still, it was grit, but it was bliss too. They saw me work 5 jobs. It's okay. My legacy is the love and the respect I had for myself and for my children and for everyone around me.
Right.
And the people who have not been kind, that's on them. Now, did I go through a few Sicilian words? Sure.
Uh-huh.
Sure. But that's on them, and there's nothing I can't stay in that place.
Right. What's fascinating is that you were talking about divorce and death, and I had been married years ago and divorced, and it was congruent with how I all of a sudden exploded psychically. And so when you're going through something like that, all you know is that your past is being taken away from you, but you don't know what your future is yet.
You have to create it.
Right.
And I worked at a domestic violence shelter. I worked in a homeless shelter. I mean, these were all preparations, and I feel they made my gifts stronger. It made my gifts stronger in my psychic abilities, in my ability to help others with action tools, my creativity, and having fun. I love going in that world. That's what I did as a child. I'd go in that fantasy world.
Well, you were shown that a lot of people had it worse than you, which is really, the universe of kind of sticking your face in and saying, see.
And I've been very blessed to have a lot of generosity of spirits come in.
Do you align with or recognize any certain spirits more than others that you would say you have more of a personal relationship with?
With other people,
I mean, when you're channeling.
It's always in God's essence.
Okay.
It's always in God. And then I could bring pets and family. And again, one of the things is I'll say, like I say, your mom's eating a cobbler. It's like, wait, that was her favorite thing. I don't know why.
Right,
and there's no logic to it. It's like, I always say, you can't make that up.
Right.
Can't make that up. So for me, it's in God's essence. God's essence is who we are. And then, I read a book years ago, is Why Do Bad Things Happen to Good People?
Oh, yeah.
Remember that
Remember
book?
the book, yeah.
And it's like, do I question that anymore? For a moment. And then I'm like, there is no explanation. There's a lot of explanations, but no explanations.
Right. Yeah, and there's a lot of individual karma. Some people come in and they have an early exit. It's just by design. As family members or survivors of someone that happens to, it doesn't make them feel any better. You can't say, well, it's karma.
No, and heartbreak. There's heartbreak, or if there is a miscarriage or an abortion, I can feel that.
Right.
I can feel that. That's still a soul that came in and went out. It's just sometimes they come through. When they're supposed to come through. That's the beautiful thing about souls coming through. They really fight their way through. They really do. And not fight like in a mean way. They're like really excited.
Right.
So I don't say I bring souls in. I invite them.
Sure.
We invite them in. So they have the choice.
Right. And they are working to come through because, from the other side, and my audience has heard this many times, before we were born, we pick our parents. We pick when and where we're born.
Right.
So that soul has intention that it's going to go to wherever and whomever that it chooses to go to.
I agree. And I feel when we become, in our school, we graduate to the next level and we see how we're raised, we have such a better understanding. And we take the way we were raised, and we're like, okay, how do we want to navigate that? And in retrospect, of course, if I had the tools now, or tools then that I had or have now, I would have handled things differently with my children. I just didn't have the tools. Right or wrong or indifferent. It's just
we all do what we know when we inherit that, from our parents.
Yes.
And then as we evolve, and also in terms of the way the world is right now and information that's available, there's so much more about consciousness parenting and, so much.
Well, right. And when I grew up, you got hit.
Right. That's
and in
right.
school, they gave SWATs,
I went to Catholic school for 8 years.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So, again, also there's the flip side, the gentle parenting. Okay, use your words. Okay. Right. I think my feelings and my knowingness and my belief system is always talking with your children.
Right.
It's talking with them. It's actually looking them in the eye. Nobody looks each other in the eye anymore. One of my favorite things in workshops and play shops is soul gazing. When do we ever just look in each other's eyes? It's really, when do you look in with yourself? You all look in the mirror tonight and look in your own eyes.
I'll tell you something really, really fascinating as we're getting near the end of the show. So at the end of a game, a softball game or any sport, you go through the line with the other team and high five, good game, good game, good game. And I'm a person of eye contact. And the opposing team this one time said, why does there have to be eye contact like that? And I thought, wow, what's going on? And you're talking about a 15, 16-year-old, what's going on in her life at home?
That's right.
That she was uncomfortable with eye contact.
A lack of connection, right?
Yeah.
So we want to reconnect. Have our own individuality and then build with people.
Right.
Our lovers, our partners, our spouses, our children. We build together, but we have to each stand on our own pillar for ourselves.
And of course, as we've talked, till we're nauseous over the fact that because of phones, kids are on their phones so much, and that's what they're connected to. I mean, how many times do you go out to dinner? My wife and I talk about this all the time. Where you look at a family, and sometimes not just the teenagers, but the mother and father on their phones.
That's correct, yeah.
Put your phones in your pockets.
Play with your kids. That's what I'm saying. When my kids come over, we talk. My favorite thing when my kids come over, because they work so hard, my children, and I like when they sleep. And I take pictures of them. They're like, why? That's so creepy. Why do you take pictures? Because I love that they can come and just sleep and feel safe after, and then they can eat. Or that's my favorite thing. It's like watching them sleep.
Oh, that's cool. We have a couple minutes left. Is there anything else you'd like to share? Any last words for the audience?
So I am feeling who's on. I mean, I can feel my left eye. So someone who is on is going through something which is, I feel like they're not feeling well. And I don't know who that is, but I kept feeling it in my tummy. It felt female. Okay. So, it is going to get better. I do feel like you have a lot of what I call cortisol in your system and inflammation. It's all settling here. It's like very acidy. So she has brown hair. I just see someone with brown hair. I don't know who's on, but like brown hair. And for everyone out there, thank you so much for inviting me into your home and into your space. And thank you. This was welcome. So fun. That hour went by like
I know it did. It did. Thank you for coming on, and thank you so much for what you were saying about, well, you identified the crystal, definitely, but sharing information that my mom was around. I appreciate that.
And that's where I feel blessed. Now, I wish I could do that for myself, but that's where I'll come to you.
and that I was going to ask you that. We still have a minute.
Okay.
So that's what people ask a lot of psychics. Can you read for yourself?
I find it difficult for me because I'm emotionally attached.
Right.
So, but that's okay. That's why healers, we stick together. And I'm really, really excited to go to your healing, sacred, safe place.
Well, come and visit us, please.
I will.
I mean, it's really cool. And I want you to do Audrey's show. And doing Audrey's show, you'll do it in her private office.
Beautiful.
The way she does that, so you will get to come there. And one more time, if people would like a reading with you, get to know you, how can they get in touch with you?
They can either go through my website, GinaAnnAuthor.com, or just give me a call, 310-888-8255. 888-617-6215 and just tell me who you are and where you saw me, and then we'll go from there.
Wonderful. And I will be on next week with Inanna Draper, who you know and love, too. I want you to come back on the show in a few weeks, okay?
Thank you.
Because there's a lot more that's going to come up. Thank you.
I'm going to read Ed. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Ed's really into all this.
Yes, so I can feel he's had it too.
So please tune in tomorrow night for Audrey with Sandra Bloom, the past life specialist. I will see you next week. And as always, thank you for watching. And remember, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. See you next week. I'm Nick Newmont. This is Gina Ann. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you. That was great. That was wonderful. That was